Everyone always puts software development jobs on a golden pedestal. But what if I told you that there is another way to enter big tech and get paid handsomely? This job ensures availability of all software you use, gets paid just as well as the classic software development jobs, and is easier to get started out of college as well as transferring into. Have you heard of site reliability engineering? Whether it is a yes or a no, watch this video to learn more on how crucial this principle is and how to get started. My name is Anthony, and I'm currently a Microsoft SRE, and I'm here to explain the ins and outs of site reliability engineering and what my day-to-day is, as well as why it is a thing that has come up in the past 2 to 3 years. There has been sort of an overlap of responsibilities within software development and DevOps engineers when it comes to reliable systems. Software engineers are so caught up in building and releasing new features that it becomes a lot of time wasted trying to figure out the issues within the infrastructure. So this is where site reliability engineers come in. They take the new builds of these software engineers, they set up monitoring, they set up automation to release these new features and new builds and make sure that everything runs smoothly. You see, when you have different delegations within an organization, it becomes much more seamless to figure out problems. For example, if you log on to, X in the morning and things aren't working, there is a site reliability engineer working to resolve that issue. Whether it is, the cluster and the node pools have too high of a CPU, or a new build has a bug in it that caused it to crash, that SRE is figuring out through the monitoring that they have set up to figure out how to resolve that situation. If you have a software engineer trying to do all of these different things, you won't hit your deadlines and you won't be able to figure out the problem as soon as possible. I'm currently a Microsoft SRE myself, and there is a lot of responsibilities that I have day to day to make sure that things are running smoothly within our environments. So I kind of explained the role of a site reliability engineer, but what do they actually build on a day-to-day basis? And that is a great question, because instead of building the actual software that SRE is going to be deploying and configuring, as well as building the infrastructure, they are the ones configuring that in the most efficient way possible. For example, if we need to deploy a new microservice or deploy some more machines to run that software, we have to configure that in the most efficient way possible. Think of it like this. We have 10 machines in a backend pool, and their CPUs and memory are hitting 80–90%. With that being said, we'll get an alert from our monitoring system, whether that is within Azure, whether that's in Grafana, or some sort of monitoring software that we set up previously, and we'll have a bridge to kind of expand by 5 machines, 10 machines, or whatever we deem fit from our data scientist. With that being said, when we deploy those machines, we need to get those going as soon as possible. So we use some sort of configuration management software such as Ansible, Chef, Puppet. Salt's a little bit of an older one, where we deploy those machines, we have them configured from our master called an Ansible master, or some sort of Salt master that runs specific configurations and scripts on those machines to get them configured and ready as possible. We then need to make sure that the load balancer is actually sending traffic to relieve the original 10 nodes from that traffic that is seemingly pushing them to those limits. Afterwards, we can kind of validate that this is working properly by seeing, the CPU usage has gone down on those 10 nodes, and the CPU usage of those 5 to 10 new nodes have gone up significantly to alleviate the burden throughout that whole back-end pool. This is kind of like a workflow that an SRE needs to make sure works properly, so we can alleviate and make sure that the system is available to our customers 100% of the time. On top of, managing our systems during these incidents where the machines are, hitting their limits, we also have to figure out a way to efficiently manage change. So when a software engineering team releases a new feature, we have to figure out how to test that properly and relay that message throughout all of our systems. For example, I work on a large array of different systems, whether that be the government Azure or the commercial Azure public cloud. There's a lot of different things that need to change within the software to be configured properly for each individual system. For example, if you're deploying something in Germany, that's going to look a little bit different than deploying something in the United States, as well as other government applications. So our job is to figure out and discuss these changes with the software team so we can have a unified operation of releasing these new features within our environments. That looks a lot different for each individual team. With my responsibilities, we have, contact with the software teams. We outlined an SOP to relay it through our organization within SREs, and then we come up with a timeline to release that. Usually you won't want to release it during peak hours because if something does go wrong, you're going to have to fail over to the other system that has the original release on it. So you'd want to pick a time, during the nighttime when the load is pretty low, and you want to have, certain operations where you release it one by one so you're not, bricking a whole system if things do go wrong. For example, you don't want to pull a CrowdStrike and release something on a Friday afternoon when things could hit the fan very, very quickly. The best practice, in my opinion, is you have certain hours between Monday and Thursday where you release these specific changes. If you want to release something within the United States, you'll have your teams over in a different time zone where they're starting their workday, release something during their workday, which is nighttime in the United States, and vice versa. For example, I would release a lot of things over in Europe in the middle of the day because 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is, end of day over in Europe for a majority of this population. So you have to figure out these and fine tune these deployments for each individual release so you can figure out what is the best for your team as well as the software development team if things do go wrong. At the end of the day, an SRE is a combination between a DevOps role as well as a software engineering role. You're combining software engineering principles with system administration and combining them to make sure releases are very smooth. If outages do occur, they're resolved very quickly based upon what you developed to make sure that they don't happen in the first place. And also communicating with a bunch of different teams to ensure proper release management of new features and builds. But how do you kind of insert yourself in this sort of role? For example, I have a cybersecurity bachelor's degree, and I'm currently in progress of getting my master's degree in computer science. However, some subsequent degree paths could be IT, information systems, or some other system administration discipline that could definitely land you a job in site reliability engineering. You don't have to be the best sysadmin, but to have some sort of background knowledge in networking, system administration, as well as some coding languages such as Python, Java, as well as those infrastructure as code that I referenced earlier. Those could definitely land you a job in some sort of company, whether it be Microsoft or a smaller tech company that would like you to handle more of their reliability needs. If you made it to this point of the video, I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more. If you have any more questions on the job market, especially with tech, please comment down below and I'll get right back to you. Anyways, have a good rest of your day and I hope to see you around here more. Have a good one and thank you very much. Bye.